Progressive anti-racism is code word for anti-white. Everyone with two brain cells to rub together knows that, and it is particularly pervasive in Canada. Let's explore. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now that Cuck Trudeau is at the helm of Canada, there are a lot more incentives for every progressive human garbage in that country to prove beyond all reasonable doubt to everyone that Canada's anti-discrimination laws only apply if the victims are diverse, and most definitely will not apply when the victims are white men. This comes from the uniquely progressive understanding of the world. You see, in the progressive la-la land, the homeless white man that I gave food to this morning is significantly more privileged than Michelle Obama, because the homeless dude is part of two social systems of oppression, whiteness and masculinity, whereas Michelle Obama isn't. As such, it doesn't constitute racism to actively and openly discriminate against white men in general. Now, I know that this doesn't make any logical or moral sense to anyone with a mental age higher than 5, but I didn't write the progressive rules, so don't shoot the messenger. Working under this childish and morally reprehensible understanding of the world, and assuming that the entire planet is as stupid as she is, Scotchy Cool of Buzzfeed Canada decided to post a job ad in which she essentially said that white men need not apply. When pressed on the matter of the legality of such an ad, in addition to the questionable morality of such a move, she retorted with the very reasonable, well-thought, and very civilized argued response of, "Ha ha, anyway, bad men literally throw them all in the garbage." Now, soon after that, other pieces of human trash joined to defend Miss Scotchy, because nothing says strong and independent than whining like a 2-year-old when some of the shit you're throwing at the internet is now being thrown back at you. Oh, and if you think I'm being harsh by calling these people human trash, I really am not. I mean, I'm working with the client's material here. She says she's a human trash. Who am I to argue otherwise? I just listen and believe. Now, mind you, this is not the first nor the last such incident in Canada, and particularly Canadian media. But whereas BuzzFeed is a privately owned clickhole, the problem gets a lot bigger when the taxpayer-funded Canadian Broadcasting Corporation engages in identical behavior. 3 years ago, a CBC subcontractor forgot to put the PC lens and simply stated openly what their customer had demanded from them: to post an ad for an acting gig where white men need not apply. Following backlash, the ad was taken down and replaced with the version without the racist part, but that solved nothing. Much to the surprise of exactly nobody, a non-white person was employed, and nobody can sit there and tell me that the requirement to be non-white had nothing to do with it. Moreover, there are countless of stories from people who have been pre-interviewed for an appearance on the CBC, but then so cheerfully informed that if they find a non-white, non-male person, then their appearance will swiftly be rescinded. Then, few days later, they'd receive another cheerful call announcing them that they're off the hook as they found their woman or Negro or whatever they were looking for. Canada's public broadcaster is supposed to be the standard in the media. And if the standard is so routinely and cheerfully misandric and racist, why should BuzzFeed Canada behave differently? You see, the thing is that the form of ownership does indeed matter. As far as I'm concerned, the freedom of association starts with the freedom not to associate, because people who like each other will associate anyway. Just like freedom of speech starts with highly unpopular and horrific speech, because fluffy kittens will be popular and aired anyway. As such, BuzzFeed is actually to be commended for being honest in its ads and thus signal to its potential readers that they are indeed a bunch of misandrist anti-white bigots who ought to be completely avoided by any normal, sane-thinking person. Following in the footsteps of the great American economist Walter E. Williams, I genuinely do believe in the freedom to discriminate, and that freedom ought to be extended even to the vacuous cunts at the Buzzfeed. However, that freedom does not and should not be extended to taxpayer-funded institutions such as the CBC, for the simple reason that the association is not voluntary. You see, taking money at gunpoint from people to fund a TV station, no matter how radical that may sound, is not voluntary association. That's why property indeed does matter. On my property, I should be free to discriminate against whomever I please for any reason, because nobody is forced to do business with me. But in taxpayer-funded institutions, everyone is forced to do business with them, whether they like it or not. As such, these institutions should obviously not be allowed to discriminate. Anyway, going back to Buzzfeed, this is a good opportunity to vote with our wallets. Buzzfeed, being the clickhole that it is, has a lot of advertisers, and some of them are solid, but some of them not so solid. Now, it would be quite a shame if someone started researching on the less solid advertisers and advised them to stop doing business with Buzzfeed, wouldn't it? It would be even a bigger shame if suddenly certain advertisers would start getting hundreds of emails from customers telling them that they'll stop buying their product because they advertise with a racist and sexist company. Wouldn't it? You see, unlike the state institutions, these new media cucks are actually bound to the market, whether they like it or not, and they usually don't. And the market is, well, every one of us voting daily with our wallets and with our feedback. The market, you see, is the largest democracy and the most just democracy. I would say it's time to put the opinion polls into actual ballots noticeable on the annual profit spreadsheets. You know, just saying. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around on Freedom Alternative.